Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the Frontline Changes Report. And again, another 24 hours, another loads of frontline changes, and basically almost everything is red. There's only one that is not red, and it has something to do with the Russian claim, based on the Russian mapping of studies here in the Kharkiv front, that is immediately partly invalidated. But everything else, there is massive developments and surprise, uh, mind-blowing developments for the Russian side. But no, stay tuned and you will know what they are. So we're going to, of course, go into studies here immediately over at the Kharkiv front. And immediately we have a geolocation of Russian airstrike on Ukrainian position, confirming Ukrainian presence basically considered within studies here. So this partly invalidated the Russian claim that we have just mapped yesterday. So this is a sign that maybe the Russians' mapping of studies here is just not accurate at all. So the Ukrainian claims are probably more accurate in terms of this situation. So we after studies here, so after this Kharkiv front studies here region, the next one is over at Makiivka, over at this Svetove front in the southern part of Svetove front. Russian forces geolocated along the road, confirming part of these Russian claims of this region around Makiivka. Ukrainians still continue to claim this area here, while the Russians have this advance that was we have reported a few days ago that is still not validated just yet, but we are getting there with a slow geolocation and corroboration of Makiivka. South of Makiivka at the criminal front at Nevske, there's some huge frontline change over on the eastern part of Nevske. Based on Ukrainian mapping by Deep State UA, they have decided to map it that the Russians have actually taken some massive grounds over on this eastern part, and this frontline change is a lot. Let me tiak this away, and let me tiak away the thing. Okay, this will be better. And the Russian forces have made huge progress along this entire eastern part of the gully of Nevske, in the gully region, and they have captured a lot of grounds. And however, most of these grounds are already mapped by the Russian side as captured by the Russian forces. So the Ukrainians are now catching up with the Russian mapping. So that's about it from this region here. Nevske is here. So after Nevske, we go all the way to the surprise at Siversk front. So at Siversk front, we have Russian forces raising the flag over in Ivano-Darivka. What a surprise. It's a shock. For out of nowhere, Russian forces suddenly raised the flag in Ivano-Darivka, confirming the Russian presence in Ivano-Darivka. How big is the capture? How much ground did they cover is unknown. And most likely that I believe that they came out from the south. This is where I think the Russian forces came from and managed to at least capture these grounds. There's also a possibility that they may be coming from Sperne, but tentatively it seems to be unlikely because there is still fighting being reported at Sperne. Tentatively, there's no fighting being reported at Ivano-Darivka. However, if you look at the terrain, you can see that Ivano-Darivka, north of it, there is actually high ground, and there is some very huge trench networks in the north. So this capture may not be very firm, but there is a river dividing. There's a river just north of Ivano-Darivka, so the Ukrainians may not be able to counterattack either. They can have fire control over the village, but the village will be essentially useless. And with this development, I believe the entire region in Sperne is going to fall to the Russians for sure, and the Russians will now be able to conduct an offensive westward towards Vimka, collapsing the entire heavy defenses along the railway line leading to Vimka. So this is going to be pretty significant. It's going to change the entire strategic situation in the Siversk front severely, and this is much better than the ones over at the Vodyane, towards the Vodyane at the Donetsk front, which I covered yesterday, because this is a flag raising. Whereas for that one, over at the Donetsk front, at this Donetsk front, this one that I mapped yesterday, the apparently I went to look at the video footage after the report had been published. People also shared it to me. Apparently, it was a kamikaze charge by a single BMP or a PTR, and they landed troops, and then they got probably destroyed. And they basically raced down the road. So it's unclear where the Russian lines were. And tentatively, I have changed, instead of a Russian capture, which is what I listed, to a Russian presence, which means that the Ukrainian mapping will not be changed as a result. Because that is not a firm control. But however, given the fact that they can drive so far, may suggest that the Russians actually have some very advanced position around here. So this is just some updates regarding the change in terms of the status of the frontline change that I had reported yesterday. So, but it doesn't change the fact that the Russian armored vehicle able to drive this far into alleged Ukrainian lines shows that there is a severe lack of Ukrainian forces in that region. So the next frontline change is over at Rozdolivka towards Perizne. This is also a massive update. If you look at this relief mapping, this is entirely the high ground region is now entirely captured by the Russian forces. And so Russian forces have taken all the heavy trenches north of Rozdolivka. This is based on Russian claims. This is a Russian claim. So not confirmed by the Ukrainian side yet, but the Russians have now allegedly have taken everything of Rozdolivka and actually have secured Rozdolivka. And the battle has now entered into Perizne itself, because in this area here, this is the southern part of Perizne. So the fighting is now entering Perizne, and this is disaster for the Ukrainians, because I don't think there's much of good defenses all around here, which means that the Russians are going to progress pretty fast up north from towards Perizne, towards the northern part, and they can storm all the way up to Zvyazdnivka and all the way to Siversk itself. So, and if the Russians do this, then the entire area will collapse. I shouldn't be doing analysis. I forgot this is a frontline changes report. Anyway, which is why you need to watch the SITREP, the situation report, which will be published on the DPA War channel probably 6, 7, 8 hours from now, because I cannot publish 2 videos at the same time, because YouTube will punish DPA, because every time you choose one video and not the other, it reduces the click-through rate, which reduces the video's reach. So no, which is why, yeah, understanding the algo is important, the algorithm. So the next frontline change after the one at Rozdolivka is at New York. So at the Battle of New York continues. Russian forces geolocated in a very new location over on this southeastern part of New York, or southeast of New York, if you understand what that means. So Russian forces in this area here, as geolocated north of the Zalizny cemetery, which means that the entire column all the way down is most likely under Russian control, because there's no way the Ukrainians are here. They will just be encircled. So Russian forces basically have conquered all of the southern New York, and which is now firmly under Russian control. Ukrainians still have the outskirts. They have some heavy entrenchments and whatnot, but I got a feeling that all these trenches are undermanned, which means that the Russians will run over them very, very quickly. So anyway, we will continue to monitor the situation over at the Battle of New York. The next frontline change after New York is over at Progress, over at the Avdiivka front. And you can see the dragon head has appeared. There's this dragon head appearing, and he is happy. So the Russian forces basically captured huge amount of grounds, capturing most of the forest on the eastern part of Progress, and which means that the Battle of Progress is going to begin, because that currently this is mapped by the Ukrainian side. The Ukrainian mapping have mapped this by Deep State UA, and with this, it means that the Russians basically have arrived right at the outskirts of Progress. The next move will be entering Progress itself. And given that there is some heavy forest region around here, the Ukrainians will have to defend everywhere. and that will just stretch them. The Russians can attack in multiple directions. So I have to stop doing analysis. So the next frontline change after progress is over at Novooleksandrivka, Persia. And there's new updates at the battle of Novooleksandrivka, Persia. Russian forces continue to storm southward from the north, capturing basically almost the entirety of the northern half of Novooleksandrivka, Persia. The next attack is going to probably come from the eastern or southeastern part, and I believe that the Ukrainians would have to quickly run away. If not, then it would be a crushing defeat. Anyway, it's already a crushing defeat, so no, save your life. So and fight a better battle next time. No, because this battle is as good as dead. No, I don't think this is doable anymore. This region, the strategic tactical situation is not good. So after Novooleksandrivka, Persia is Vodyane. So I mentioned just now about the about this reclassification of the capture in this capture into a presence. However, that doesn't change the fact that there is still updates. So according to Ryba, Russian forces have taken more grounds on this area here, and based on the Russian sources, they did note about this Russian presence, but they did not draw the map all over to that place, which is also part of the consideration why I decided to convert this into just a presence, which means the Russian mapping will go all the way there, but the Ukrainian mapping will not change. So this is why that's the case. Actually, no, I should. Well, the update did not update, so I need to draw this back here. So yeah, it's going to be like this. So just to note, I also classify this as a Russian capture, despite it's a Russian mapping only, due to the fact that the Russians managed to go all the way this far. So which is why this I classify as a capture. We will continue to monitor and see how this develop. Then I think like I said before, the fact that the Russians can travel all the way this far out and travel all the way down means that there is a severe lack of Ukrainian troops around this area here. So if not, then I don't think the vehicle should have been able to travel that far. And the fact that it was taken out around here is because the Ukrainians have strong defense along the highway, so which is why it's not possible to break through, or they get stopped over there. This is some reminiscence of some of the stupid charges that we see at the Afghan front, where they try to storm far ahead and try to land troops and try to maybe take some defensive positions around here. This is a silly thing to do, always, because if you are only landing a squad of soldiers, they will be wiped out very quickly, very, very quickly. So that is just a suicide charge. It's not doable. It's just don't make sense. And one final frontline change, and this is a significant one, is at Krynky. The Ukrainian source Deep State UA has confirmed that the Ukrainian forces have entirely withdrawn from Krynky, and they have reported that the entire operations of Krynky, 1,050 soldiers is lost on the Ukrainian side. 788 were missing, 262 were killed. So clearly this is the missing are just dead, most likely. So over 1,000 soldiers, or they say that on average it's four person a day, and they say it's published on the slitstoff.info, which was information coming from the police. So anyway, whatever it is, the operation at Krynky is so-called completed. I would say entirely lost, entirely big failure. So the Ukrainian forces withdrew with whatever remaining, and the Russians have taken full control over at Krynky. Over the past 24 hours or 48 hours, that was the last battle, with the Russians attacking the final dugout within the Krynky. According to the information from Deep State, they say that in the final battle on the 17th of June, which is around 2 days ago, the Russians attacked the last entrenchment. 3 of the soldiers almost immediately died, and most likely immediately died. 2 were lost in the rifle battle. Remaining 6 retreated to the island to the north, where another battle was fought. Only 1 of the 6 survived. So basically everyone died almost. So this is the situation with Krynky. We finally marked the end of the story of Krynky, and even all these islands in the north is a danger for the Ukrainian soldiers, as the Russian forces are known to be in these islands as well. There is so much forest and swamps, it's impossible to know where is where, and getting contacted by the Russian forces, resulted in massive losses for these retreating troops. It's a tragedy, it's a stupid operation, and I don't think that but it's war, war happens, people make mistakes, just like we watch football, some people still kick own goal, that happens. So it is what it is. Anyway, thank you for watching. This is the Frontline Changes Report. Do look out for the situation report where we go into details, with analysis and everything. And thank you for watching. Subscribe, of course, subscribe over at TPA War as well. I'll see you guys in the next update.